Am I ever? Let me close this stream so that
Welcome. Well, looks like you weren't
Oh,
ready.
hey!
Welcome, everyone, to Into the Wild League, Week 5. We have a great match for you tonight. The second in a series of doubleheader. I guess a doubleheader would be a series. We have GetMeowth and MrDollSteak. I do believe this means that we've casted every single one of MrDollSteak's games. Maybe? Most of them, anyways.
So Dollstick pulled me aside at the beginning of this league, and he said, "Look, I don't want anybody but you and Blue to be casting my matches. So if you could make that happen." And I said, "Doll, for you, I'll make anything happen." I just want to let all the viewers watching know that Doll actually plays Hearthstone on a TI-85 calculator. So he wanted to make sure that you all knew that this snow in the tavern is really killing him. And so if he takes a little while, maybe if he ropes a turn, he's not BMing. He's just playing on a calculator.
Well, that is probably a little too much information. So since we are slightly delayed, Jelly, why don't you take us through some of the rules so that we can get Meowth and Dollsteak into games so we can get things underway?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you the super fast version because you probably just watched the match before this. Into the Wild League is a best of 5 format. You bring 3 classes, you win 3 out of 5 games, you're the winner. You have to win with all 3 of your classes to win the match. The slight twist here is that we play on a weekly format. It's a 3-week rotation. Week 1, you bring any 3 classes you want. Week 2, you bring 3 of the 6 left. Week 3, you bring the last 3 classes. Over the course of 3 weeks, you play all 9 classes. This forces you to bring every class. It forces you to play some of the worst decks in the format. This is what we like here. Also, every other week, we throw a deck challenge in. But you don't need to know about that because this week is not a deck challenge. So let's get started.
So do you think we're going to see the worst decks tonight, the best, or an uneven matchup and a rout?
So, I think we're going to see some pretty good decks tonight. We don't have any deck challenges going on. Players knew going into their picks for the weekly format that this week was not going to be any challenges. We've got Warlock, Druid, Shaman out of MrDollSteak. We've got some Paladin, some Shaman, some Rogue out of uh, GetMeowth. I think we're going to see the highest quality decks we can. We're probably going to see some Reno Lock. We're probably going to see some Even Shaman. We might see some Odd Rogue. We're going to see some of the best decks in the format tonight. And we're going to see 2 very great players facing head to head. Let's get this started and see what these players have brought.
Yeah, so I did send the signal, just setting up the
Perfect.
game environment, and we will get into it momentarily. So it
All
does
right.
look like we have Shaman versus Shaman.
Hey, so we'll be able to tell pretty quickly if this is an even shaman mirror match here, right? Right off the bat, if that again triggers, we will know. Um,
So it
let's
looks like we
see who's
have
going.
GetMeowth
So
with even Shaman.
definitely not even shaman on Dollstick's side. So what we've got going on here is good shaman versus terrible shaman. You see that emote from GetMeowth. What he is saying is, that's incredible that you're not playing even shaman. It's the only playable shaman deck. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong, Blue. Uh, that said, we've got a pretty decent hand here out of Doll. We've got the Chain Gang into the Sandbinder. We could probably see a Chain Gang Zola Chain Gang. We're likely to see maybe an Electra into Maelstrom Portal. Oh, or an Electra into Lightning Storm if we get that far.
So this match isn't as
You know,
hopeless as maybe people might think. The Shutterwalk Shaman does have a lot of control tools that could certainly run the even Shaman out of gas. Although
that's
GetMeowth did draw a pretty decent hand, so I'm not sure that's what we're going to see here.
pretty true. We see a Tempo Zola out of Doll and just immediately gets hit by that eel, which is the correct play. With the healing totem out, I don't know if I would have tempoed out that Zola. I might have just taken the 2 damage there. Saved it for one of these chain gangs.
Certainly that volcano off the top is pretty timely draw.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably volcano here, and then Electra into
Oh,
lightning storm. But you know, he
YOLO
goes a totally
rat.
different way. He dirty rats that rag. I think he's gonna regret that, and I think we might have game here. I'm gonna call this super early. DollSteak just does not have an answer for such an early rag.
Kenny
So he's got volcano
volcano.
here.
We've got 7.
But he can't play volcano
12.
next turn.
Oh, he's
taking.
overloaded. Oh, but the hex off the
Okay,
top.
so he draws the hex off the top.
Never punished.
He's unfortunately gotta hex the rag. He's still staring down. He's still staring 12 damage in the face, and he's at 22. So he's going to 10 no matter what GetMeowth does. Meowth has potentially 10 damage in hand. He goes with the claws. He doesn't try to high roll to win here. Probably the smart move. But Meowth has lethal next turn.
Yeah.
So DollSteak has no chance but to volcano right now. And he's got to hope the volcano high rolls and just completely ignores all those 0 attacks. Oh, he's going to take out some of the 0 attacks. That's smart.
So
he's able to take out a couple of them first.
The next time you are on ladder, don't YOLO dirty rat. Key lessons learned here.
He hits all 15 damage. He's going to exactly clear everything on the board. And he still loses this game. So, unfortunately, not as winnable a matchup as you were thinking.
Well,
that is classic even shaman from GetMeowth there. He clearly came to play. He's not messing around tonight. So let's get right into game 2. GetMeowth going up 1-0 here. I'm going to ask the same question I always ask, which is what goes into the thoughts about what to queue next. I think GetMeowth probably straight up queued exactly what he thinks was his best chance of winning. So he's got the Paladin and the Rogue left. If I had to guess, I'm going to say we're looking at odd Rogue, maybe an odd Paladin. So he goes straight into odd Rogue, we're looking at. And DollSteak does what I like. He queues into Druid.
Some kind of big Druid variant, kind of a little bit of an off meta, but running all of the defensive tools that you've come to know and love. Spreading Plague, Branching Paths, Wild Growth. I mean, this is a pretty decent hand.
We're probably going to see the 22 core Druid cards, and a lot of times the rest of the deck doesn't matter. In this matchup, I think it really, really might. Because the only way that, if you talk about the best Druid deck in the format right now, if you talk about something like Star Aligner, the way that they win is not to fully combo. The way that they win is to combo as quickly as possible, clear Rogue's board, and then have a really big board sitting left over. The problem here with seeing that Sneed, I don't know what the rest of the deck looks like, but from DollSteak, if he combos out and he drops a Sneed, maybe I don't know what we're going to see, maybe a Kel'Thuzad, maybe a Lich King, that might not be enough. If Meowth's able to take care of a single taunt or two, maybe Vile Spine, and then you just go face, this might not be enough from Doll. That said, with cards like Spreading Plague and Branching Paths, Doll might be able to put the game away without even comboing. So it's really going to come down to draws here. The Baku is not what Meowth wanted to see, but the Leroy is exactly what he wanted to see. So kind of a 50-50 draw from both players here. We'll have to see what happens. That Market of Lotus is a huge pull off that Swashbuckler. It lets Meowth go a little bit wider than he might normally go in this matchup. He obviously wants to keep it tight to play around a Spreading Plague.
Yeah, the Mark is a nice pull, but it's not going to do a whole lot against Spreading Plague. I think that Meowth needs to start thinking about going tall. He's mousing over that Hench Clan Thug, so I think we're going to see that make it into play this turn.
Yeah, no
And
question. That's the correct choice there. Henge Clan, Mark, make the Henge Clan bigger. Unfortunately for DollSteak here, even yeah. So I mean, a second Spreading Plague is great. I think I would have thrown the top deck Spreading Plague out instead of telling him that I've been keeping it the whole game. But even pulling, a Spellstone here, he's not going to be able to take care of that Henge Clan anytime soon. And with that Fungal Mancer, Meowth is able to pretty clearly take care of this Spreading Plague. He leaves a couple up, which means that the second Spreading Plague is not going to be good. Oh, right. Swipe on the Henge Clan, obviously, because Meowth did not weapon that Henge Clan. So he leaves it at 5/5.
we might be seeing DollSteak stabilize here. I mean, there's still some gas left in the Odd Rogue's arsenal, but with that branching paths and the second plague, we might start to see this run away from Meowth.
Luckily, Meowth is not going too terribly wide here. He keeps it pretty tall. He's able to put DollSteak down to 12, and Doll just, he doesn't have that Aviana to combo off. He's only at 8 here. He's facing down lethal, so this is his last Spreading Plague. He's got 1 branching paths next turn if he survives. And Meowth has that Leroy in hand. So while I still think it's possible for Doll to stabilize here, it does look like this is Meowth's game at this point.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think that a more typical Starliner deck, I don't know if Doll's playing the Psych Melons or if he's playing the Bio Projects, but in the last couple of turns, if we had seen Psych Melon into Bio Project right here, we could be looking at a situation where he's just barely surviving long enough to combo off, hope to win off of that. With the Leroy in hand, the combo might not be enough, because if the combo doesn't kill Meowth, the Leroy can put the game away. But at this point right here, I don't see an out for DollSteak. He's gonna, even drawing 3 off this Nourish isn't gonna do it. He can gain 12 armor, puts him to 23 here.
Certainly a nice draw. Might be
down,
a little too late.
He's staring down 18, and what he doesn't know is that there's a Leroy in hand. So that's going to be lethal from Meowth, and we're going to go to game 3.
Quick game with the aggressive decks, and the Odd Rogue showing its burst potential here.
So Meowth giving DollSteak a little bit of hope there.
Oh, and the Moonfire BM. The Moonfire BM has to be called out. All right.
It was told to me earlier today, playing cards that are not strictly necessary to win is always BM. So apparently both the Swashbuckler and the Moonfire are considered BM there. But I'd say that was a pretty convincing match for GetMeowth once again. It looks like DollSteak had a slight opportunity there to recover, but he just wasn't able to pull it out. So we're going to see the Paladin from Meowth. I'm going to guess we'll probably see Odd Paladin. DollSteak does what I didn't expect, and he keeps up that Druid again, probably because he knows that GetMeowth is queuing up that Paladin. Looking at Meowth's hand here, we are obviously not seeing an even Paladin. Sorry, an odd Paladin. We might even be seeing an even Paladin.
Yeah.
It looks like let's see, right? We'll find out right now.
There it is.
So we're looking at even Paladin. It looks like Meowth couldn't quite bring himself to play 3 of the top decks in the meta. He had to take a slight step back on the Paladin list, but certainly playing the 3 best aggro classes in the format.
Yep,
We'll have
Dollsteak
to,
showing that he's a good druid player by drawing 2 wild growths. So well done.
yep, certainly the correct choice there. I, I wonder what he's thinking with that second wild growth. I don't know if he's planning for that spreading plague quickly. The major question I have there is just why not Towel while you still have the wild growth in hand. But in terms of Meowth's choice here, I am going to be interested to ask him after the fact if he really thinks even is better than odd, or if he was just trying to meme it up a little bit with at least one of his choices.
Meowth does have a reputation to maintain, of course. That even Shaman and Odd Rogue is going to demand quite an off-meta answer here for that parity to be maintained.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that even Shaman is quite enough to put him at even on the meme meter. I think he'd at least have to bring some sort of breakfast paladin, but he clearly just goes aggro, aggro, aggro. Like I said, Meowth came to win today, and making a super key decision there. Did not hero power. He was ready for that spreading plague to come. Really great play out of Meowth there. That's the kind of impressive play that says he's played this matchup many a time. I think we're probably going to see a Primordial Drake here. Load up a couple of Haunted Creepers. Oh, sorry, Spectral Spiders.
Meowth sitting
And
on quite a scary hand. Has lots of removal options, buff options. You know,
yeah, I mean,
definitely going to be asking the questions for the rest of this game for the foreseeable future, anyways.
this hand from Dollsteak is certainly not the worst that we could be seeing.
Nope.
Even just an Aviana into Primordial Drake and an Aviana into a Yasharj is not the end of the world for Doll, but if he's able to draw into that Coon, we could see this game being put away pretty quickly. That said, he's got to pull the trigger now. There's the Sleepy Dragon that we're probably going to see. Because unfortunately, he can't let that 8/5 shielded mini bot continue to plague him. Okay, so we don't see the Aviana. We just see the straight up prime. Over on GetMeowth side.
I wonder if that would have been a good opportunity to play Malfurion. That extra armor starts to cumulatively add up, and I get why you'd want the big taunt boy down, but I mean that that
Yeah,
that guy's still gonna smash through. The mini bot's still gonna smash through. So an 8/4/8,
certainly
a
a key question.
1/5, yeah.
It looks like Meowth is trying to decide whether to equality consecrate for 12 damage to put Dollsteak at 3. I can't do math. 3. He decides to go with just the Lich King and save probably lethal for next turn. He does trade into that Primordial Drake, leaving a 2/6 on board. So he's got 14 damage on board.
And I think Meowth will be rewarded for that choice. I have to think that Malfurion's coming down this turn. I could be mistaken, but at this point, you
It's
really want to start getting
At
that
this point,
armor
it's
online.
either there's the Malfurion. It's either that or Aviana and Sleepy Dragon, and I think that's too risky a choice with Equality Consecrate out of even Shaman. Unfortunately, what we're going to see here, even if we hit the Malfurion and get that armor online, we're looking at 8 armor to put him at 23. We're going to see an Equality Consecrate for 16 damage. Then we're going to see Aviana, Sleepy Dragon, and I think with a combination of Death Coil and these minions on board, it's going to be... Oh, we've got the Mossy Horror. We don't even have to Equality Consecrate. So Meowth has lethal next turn.
And I think this is going to go down in history as one of the fastest sets we've seen in the Into the Wild League.
Yeah, this is really turning the tables on what you and I normally cast here. Not even Aviana Sleepy Dragoning. He's trying to save that Aviana just with the Sleepy Dragon. What he doesn't know is that Meowth has that Equality Consecrate for lethal right here.
Yeah, and that's going to be it. GetMeowth
Meowth
for the sweep. Coming to
thinking
win.
about, he decides not even to Equality Consecrate. He just goes Keeper of Uldum Death Coil, which I think is a little bit more stylish. Um, but he puts it away with the Mossy Horror. Give me the Mossy Horror with final attack. There it is.
And that's going to do it.
And
A 3-0 sweep for GetMeowth.
Oh, and DollSteak clearly paying for the choice to bring slightly memey decks. Clearly didn't talk to GetMeowth ahead of time because Meowth came to win. Even that Even Shaman, which is a little bit off meta, was about as tuned as you can get it. That was a pretty hot deck. So interesting to talk to him about that. And we'll see if DollSteak has anything interesting to say about the decks that he brought. So let's see if we can get these guys into a call here.
Yeah, let me send them a text. Certainly want to at least poke MrDollSteak about that YOLO Dirty Rat into Ragnaros.
That was a tough blow there. So I'll give you a second to let them queue up. I want to let everyone listening know how close we are to the end of this tournament, but I have no idea, so I can't let you know. I kind of feel like we're towards the end, and I feel like the playoffs are coming up pretty soon, but I don't know the answer, so I can't tell you. That said, if the playoffs are next week, then we'll have playoffs next week. And if they're not next week, then we'll have more matches next week.
I think they are soon. Either way, it's going to follow the same kind of ad hoc scheduling. As there are many games being played and a desire to stream them all, we tend to broadcast these games per the player's schedule. And so that also has the happy coincidence of allowing folks from all over the world to partake and enjoy, whether they're in North America, Europe, and beyond. So it does look like GetMeowth and MrDollSteak would like to chat with us a little bit about that crushing sweep. So I'm going to go ahead and
Perfect.
get them into a call. Stand by.
Let's hop on that call.
Okay. Do we have everyone? Looks like we have MrDollSteak and GetMeowth. Good game, guys.
And Jelly. Okay, so I just want to start by saying real quick, Nate did give me the answer. We have 2 weeks of games left, and then the playoffs will be after that. So jumping right into it, congratulations, Meowth. I think that might be the fastest Into the Wild League match we've had yet.
Glad I could be part of history.
I'd have to look through some VODs to know for sure, but that was certainly about as fast as we can expect. So I said it several times during the casting, but you came to play today, yeah?
Yeah, so that's why I kept bugging Nate about the standings in the channel. Because I mean I've only lost one game, and the one game I lost was to Eon, who told me he was going to bring memes and then debated me with real decks. So
That is
So
low.
you need to find out whether you should come to play.
well, so like I was like, might as well, like if I have the chance to make finals, I'm gonna try my hardest. Just to prove that I'm not like just memes, I'm
Yeah,
actually a decent
I
player once
I
upon a
appreciate,
time.
I appreciate that. And so Dollstick, you sent me your list today, and along with your list, you said something to the effect of actively bringing horrible decks. And I cringed inside a little bit because I had seen what Get Meowth was bringing, and I thought I would be willing to put a lot of money on GetMeowth sweeping this match because unfortunately, I think what happened here. Correct me, both of you, if I'm wrong, but DollSteak, you brought some pretty fun decks, and Meowth just brought top meta choices, and unfortunately, that played out in the matchup.
I thought I would go the unpredictable route and bring decks that would not be expected to give me an advantage. But as you can see, the reason why they're not expected is because they can't even win by surprise. But no, I think it wasn't inherently a very bad choice because I was thinking that somewhere along the line he would maybe think I was bringing not a typical aggro lineup, but a control lineup. So I wanted to try and bring decks that could punish control decks. But yeah, that's definitely not what happened tonight.
Yeah, I totally understand that. So let's start with the first matchup. It's Shaman versus Shaman. That Shutterwalk list that you were playing, that can beat even Shaman, right?
I think I got really unlucky with the Dirty Rat. I think if I had just waited, I would have been able to swing that because I had the Volcano. And then
Yeah.
because I Dirty Ratted, I probably shouldn't have just jammed the storm either. But the Volcano wasn't going to clear the board there, which was on the next turn. So I thought I'll just get rid of the weenies to try and play around Flame Tongue and oh dear. But no, look, if I pulled something small, I think I could have swung it maybe. Actually, I think, apart from that very last game, I think I actually was pretty close to turning the games around. Like the Rogue versus Druid game, if I had top deck Primordial Drake instead of Kel'Thuzad, it would have been there.
Yeah, so in that even Shaman match, obviously that Dirty Rat was super unfortunate. I also wondered a little bit about that early tempo Zola. With the Chain Gang in hand and the Eel already in play, we were wondering a little bit why you didn't wait for the Chain Gang and then maybe Zola the Chain Gang and just hope to stall enough that you could Electra into that Lightning Storm, following up with Volcano. But did you have a
I
different
needed
line
the
there?
two. I needed the body. You can't beat slow. You've got to have things on the board to try and chip at the minions. Only way.
So speaking of minions, we didn't get to see a whole lot of your even Shaman list, Meowth, but there were some choices in there that I personally approve of, that I've been advocating for, but not been getting a lot of traction on. So you have the Rag at the top end, but you're also opting to play 2 Fire Guard Destroyers instead of the 2 drops. A Fire Guard Destroyer being a 4 mana elemental that has an overload of 1 with a random attack boost, which is a really strong 4 drop. So how's that been working out for you? Because I think it's a really solid choice to go super tall in this meta.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't understand why people aren't playing Rag and people are playing Lich Kings instead. And even Shaman
the
just
Lich
makes
King is
zero
such a bad
sense to me, and it's never made any sense to me at all. But people follow the sheep that post their list on Twitter and don't think about their list. So like I think Rag is like a natural fit for the deck and what it wants to do. And the reason I'm running Fire Guards over like Shredders
Or Pinatas.
and God, anyways, yeah, but like Fire Guard Destroyers are really against Druid, it's better to go tall than wide. So that's why you cut the Dire Wolves, you cut the Shredders, or the Pinatas, and you just smack them in the face and just force them to seize 1 or 2 minions, and then you drop down the second or third minion, and they can't deal with it.
So statistically, the Dire Wolves are the worst cards in the deck, right? Or they're down there.
They're pretty
at the
close
bottom.
to it, yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely don't mind that choice. Is that the fact that you're playing the Fire Guard Destroyers? Is that what lets you play that crazy one of Earth and Might?
I mean, so I think Earthamite's always just been like decent in the list. It gets a lot better when you are running the Fire Guards. But it's like you run the Earthamite for the same reason. It just lets you go tall, right? So you can like buff the Totem Carvers, you can buff the Totem Golems to get through Spreading Plague, or make sure that you can kill Doomsayers and stuff like that. sticking the Earthenmite on like a healing totem in the early game in the mirror is like game winning.
Yeah, hitting it on turn 2 is just better than Wolf because it's the 2 attack
The
and
2/2,
the 2
yeah.
health as opposed to the 1 attack. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Like, and I really am considering cutting Aya actually for a second Earthenmite just because I have enough late game threats. Aya generally feels underwhelming, so I would even consider cutting the Aya Blackpaw for a second Earthenmite.
Yeah, just not quite as impactful as you want.
Yeah, it's just not
A little too
doesn't.
late.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Not much to ask about your rogue list. That seemed pretty stock standard odd rogue. Going a little old school with the Dr. Boom, but otherwise that's pretty much what you'd ladder with right now, yeah?
Yeah, just the double shady dealer and the green skin. If I was I saw the druid list from DollSteak, or the fact that he had picked druids, so I was considering running. So generally, if you're trying to target druids, I cut the fireflies for small time buccaneers actually, like a real throwback, but
Okay.
because it just lets you, it's more aggression, right?
Have you tried Void Rippers?
So
I've heard a
I've
lot of
thought
those
about
things.
it. I've thought about it. It's just my 3-drop slots like way too contested already. Really, I don't know. I think small
And
time
then I guess
buccaneers just good.
go ahead.
It's just like small time buccaneers, just more pirate synergy to guarantee like the hench clan, not the hench clans, the shady dealers,
Yeah.
um, stuff like that. And I also run like green skin, so like I'm all in on the pirate package when I'm running double shady dealer and green skin, and sometimes we're running small time buccaneers as well. So
Yeah. Okay, so Dollstick, in that matchup, you were up against that odd rogue with the druid. Obviously, you would have probably liked a different druid in that matchup, but tell us about what's going on with that druid deck.
Wanted to jam it in with as many expensive big boys that, when pulled by rats, can try and help me to win the game. But no rats.
That's just
were
anti-rat druid.
Keep them out. Yeah, it was an anti-rat druid. I thought he could have been bringing Kingsbane or Mill Rogue, maybe with rats in there. I know that seems to be popular at the moment.
did you not fall for the espionage bait on stream?
Definitely did not fall for that. I would not have expected that day.
That was next level bait.
Yeah,
I had a hard
I
time
thought.
keeping
I
my
mean,
mouth
look,
shut.
and at the end of the day, I was pretty close to swinging it. Unlucky with some of the draws. I drew the wrong big boys. I was drawing the ones that didn't have taunt and AOE damage. But seeing it come out of Nourish as like the next card I would have drawn was a bit annoying. But anyway.
Okay, so I have two questions for that deck. The first is, have you considered Dragon Hatcher in that deck?
No, I don't like it very much because this isn't one. So it just seems like idea, especially because I put in some there that didn't have taunt, and it would be quite bad if it pulled like Azera or Deathwing or Dragon Lord.
Okay, that's totally fair.
So that was sort of my thinking on that one, yeah.
So then the second question is, obviously we're looking at an anti-rat druid here. Have you seen Giant Druid? And if so, what do you think of it?
It's enchanted my Naga Sea Witches, so that is an option.
Fair enough.
It is not an option for me.
Okay.
I mean, in all honesty, just my 2 cents. I think not taunt druid, but like big druid's like a really good debate right now in the meta, right? You run double rats, and then just big boys with double Slike Melon, and it's like pretty good.
I actually think it's not terrible. I actually think the Giant Druid deck is not bad, just because you still can get that crazy turn where you drop 5 giants, and you can get it off of either Naga or Aviana, and you still have just huge Dirty Rat protection, and you can play Dirty Rat yourself.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's true. I mean, probably I'd get rid of the Yashiraj in that list because that was one that wasn't so good in my hand. But
Oh,
I
sure.
think I mean, look, again, if I had Aviana or Kun, it would have been great because then I slammed out a bunch of big taunts. So that was sort of my thinking there. But yeah, again, didn't manage to draw all the pieces, and the Psych Melons are slightly more useless in a deck where different. You
Yeah,
don't
there's no
always get the
question
ones
that
you need.
you didn't have the optimal draw. To be fair, Meowth also did have the optimal draw. So
I think the games could have played out a little bit differently, but that's ultimately how it goes when you bring in unconventional decks that rely on your opponent not having a good deck. But yeah, I think it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if I managed to beat the odd rogue with the Primordial Drake. I think difficult for me to win because I don't think Shutterwalk Shaman stands a chance against odd rogue deck particularly well. Actually, the paladin deck as well, just being able to get all those strong buffs, a good.
yeah, you really needed to beat that even
for me to
shaman with that Shutterwalk deck,
that.
right?
I think that would have changed it a lot, but even shaman would have still been fine for me. It was just a case of I'm again sort of got. I was expecting odd paladin, and that's why I brought the druid with lots of the plagues and the
Fair.
primordial drakes. But then it ended up being one that went tall. So if I had actually done that matchup with Reno lock deck I brought, that probably would have ended up better. But I was saving the Reno lock deck till afterwards because, not have a very
It looked
good
like it might be your
chance.
strongest deck.
Yeah, it was my strongest deck, which is why I wanted to save it to the end. Where I thought, okay, I'll be able to grab the win at the end. But oh well. Anyway.
Yeah. So speaking of which, Meowth, is it the fact that you saw Druid out of DualStick that made you bring even Paladin over odd Paladin?
Not really like anything in particular, to be honest. I saw Corbett post a list I think it was yesterday, that was top 8. And so I was like, might as well give it a try, bring something meme because I'm bringing a bunch of the meta stuff. So
That's exactly what we thought you were doing. We honestly, we were talking about it and we said, look, he brought even Shaman and odd Rogue. He must have felt like he couldn't also bring odd Paladin.
yeah,
So he just changed it up for the last one.
Yeah, I think Odd Paladin is probably the better deck overall, but like Corbett has had he hit top 10 with the list, and so it's not a terrible thing.
Look,
and
that
then,
the mossy horror for spreading plague is just so amazing.
Yeah, so I took his list and I just added double Dirty Rat really because you can still beat Druid with the Mossies and you have the Rats with the Equality Consecrate and
If only you'd ratted me.
I mean,
Yeah,
I figured once you were dropping Prim Drakes, you weren't a combo druid, so I
smart
decided
enough
not
to
to.
rat there.
Yeah, it's a little bit fortunate there. Otherwise, I would have totally done it. But yeah,
then I would have had you.
it is a deck that
definitely.
I think it's a deck that has success and that has just died off because people, think it's garbage because Call to Arms isn't a card anymore.
Sure, I mean, I think
kind of deck now.
I think you're probably seeing similar things with that deck as you are with something like Pirate Warrior, right? Like Pirate Warrior is solidly tier 2, but it's just not as good as Pirate Rogue.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not a lot of reason to play it. So I think even Paladin's probably in a similar place. It's probably solidly tier 2, but people just don't play it because Odd Paladin is tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that Odd Paladin's tier 1, but it is probably better than even Paladin. So.
Sure. It's definitely up there somewhere.
Yeah, it's a lot better than
point.
Even.
Yeah, and they're both such similar game plans in the end.
I think even lets you go taller, which is why I personally like it better. But
in a heavily druid meta, Not only does it let you go tall, but you've got that easy mossy horror or even the equality consecrate answer to spreading plague all day long.
Yeah. I mean,
I
and
like
like
that a lot.
Reno Lock as well is better against that.
Sure.
Because of all the
Uh,
AoE.
Even something like Big Priest that's able to, drop a couple statues against you, you're able to take care of those.
Yeah.
It is a shame that we didn't get to see MrDollSteak, your Reno Warlock. It had some pretty fun inclusions in it, including that Ziliax. So maybe you could just run through a couple of your more interesting choices and rationale, or was it just that you wanted to bring a little bit of a mix up of an old formula?
Well, I thought that seeing classes that he had, it would be a good idea not to just bring um, a way to beat control with your typical Nizothlus. Again, I thought it would be like Shadowwalk Shaman or something like that. So I wanted like an OTK, so that's why I went with the Neck Glinda package.
Right.
And so I just put those in as options that would not be terrible against decks in theory. I mean, Ziliax is good. Giggling Inventor's already in the deck. Replicating Menace, if you're not planning on OTKing, it's a lot of different bodies that can lead to a bunch of Defile shenanigans. And then, the Coppertail Imposter is probably the worst card there, but it's, just to get the OTK in the late game. And I was testing it out on ladder, and I managed to get a win with the Glinda mech warping magnetizing on a squirrel. So I thought, okay, well, that should be fine against control decks if they come up, but they weren't. So
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
say
mean,
you should know your audience, and our audience loves to see a good OTK. So maybe next time you'll be afforded the opportunity to show it off.
yeah,
we'll
absolutely. I will just throw out, since we're talking about Glinda, OTK, Warlock, and this is the Into the Wild League, if you go to intothewildhs.com and look at the podcast list, just a few episodes back, Saucy Mailman talked about his Glinda, OTK, Warlock list, and that's a great episode to listen to. But with that, we don't want to keep anyone any longer. I know it's late night, so I want to say thank you so much, GetMeowth. Thank you, MrDollSteak. Best of luck to both of you in the last 2 weeks of this league. And if we can just, do you have any shout outs you want to give? Do you want to tell us where we can reach you on social media or where we can catch your streams?
Yeah. I guess I'll go. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Twitter / it's at GetMeowth. And then you can find me on Twitch. I stream 5 to 6 days a week, about 20 hours a week. So you guys should definitely check it out. I'm running some tournaments. You guys should check those out. And if you guys are interested, I got an article coming out this weekend about my response to the Blizzard statement. So you guys should definitely check that out as well.
Well,
Okay,
and
perfect.
I'm just on Twitter as MrDollSteak. I'll be posting my spicy list today. So if you also feel like going 0-3 on ladder later today, you can go for it.
Well, that's my
And
specialty.
that's about it. I'd just like to thank everyone for watching and for Blue and Jelly. You guys have been watching a lot of my games, and I love it when you cast them. So yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, props to you guys for casting, and props to the Into the Wild guys for putting on this tournament. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely. Thanks so much for taking part, and we look forward to seeing the last couple weeks and how these playoffs go. Meowth, it sounds like you're really gunning for that, so hopefully we'll see you in those playoffs.
Hopefully.
Well, thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.
Good night, guys.
Yeah,
See ya.
and just before we close the stream, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, we have Craig of Canada versus Mike Lowe. So be sure to tune in for that. Otherwise, it's been a privilege and an honor to cast for you guys. So with that, I bid you adieu and have a great night.